seems to let go of the ghost. You know, they can't do that. Why are you able to? And in your estimation, some others can.
Well, basically, I think that you realize that you have to go on. Life goes on, you know, and I think that you have to find something that interests you after you finish the boxing game. You know, I think that a lot of fighters, that's the only thing that they know. So they're stuck basically with their boxing because they don't know anything else.
Do you draw a correlation between acting and competing in the ring? You're performing, right?
Right. But what I like about it is that, you know, it's not real. You know, these people get punched, man, it's not real. And the fun part is even when you die, you can come back. So it's a lot of fun, you know. I have a good time acting because it's I'm like a little kid in a candy store, you know, when you're acting and everything. And just trying to remember your lines is probably the toughest part. But other than that, man, it's a lot of fun.
How many times have you died?
Well, only one time, but I died 2 times in one day. I couldn't believe it.
Have you studied acting? You know, with some people, there's the derivative method and so forth. So many people teach
I
it.
think basically with that happened by me working with other like the PSAs and I mean like doing the Pizza Hut and doing the Pepsi Colas and whatever like that. All that stuff that kind of led to me figuring that I wanted to become an actor. You know. Well, my manager also told me too. He said, "That means you're going to be a damn good actor." I said, "Well, we hope so. At least it's better than getting punched, right?"
Absolutely.
Marvin, actually from Mayweather, he's calling himself the best ever. Do you think he's the best ever?
It's a big statement. You know, I think that really is too early to tell. I think when you talk like that, it's after basically when the fighter finishes their career, then you can determine whether or not they were great, good, or one of the best. You know, that's how I feel. So it's too early for me to say.
Who do you think is the best ever today?
Today, there's so many young fighters that's out there that's got a lot of talent, you know, but, you know, we, like myself, we was in a different era, but I'm quite sure that it's difficult for a lot of the younger fighters too that's coming up today, you know. I still keep my fingers somewhere inside of the game, you know, but I really don't know that much about them. I believe that I see the fights today, I think that they lack in a couple of things, you know, basically like the discipline, you know, and you know, the real hard training, you know. So, I mean, I see a lot of people that's not like myself, where you know we think about boxing 24 hours a day, you know. So that was a big difference what I see in some of the fighters.
So did you see Manny Pacquiao on Jimmy Kimmel's show the week before a huge fight? Does that bother you because he's not as focused perhaps as you with Tommy and Ray and Duran and the great fighters from your
Well, you know, it's the same thing like what you're saying now too. Today, these fighters can pick who they want to fight. Mm-hmm. And before, we couldn't pick who we wanted to fight. They would just say, "You're fighting this guy," and that was it. You just had to get ready for that guy. You know, you can't say, "I don't want to fight him." You know, it was just that you had to fight him. With me, on my story, it was that I had to fight all the #1 contenders. Every time I turn around, there's another #1. There's another #1. Or either they're going to strip you the title or whatever. Always threats, you know. So it was a big thing, but it all worked out in the best for me in the long run because each fight I felt as though that I was getting better and better and better. You know, they're fighting tougher and tougher and tougher opponents.
Can you think back again? Sometimes it's hard because you're living it in the moment. But the era of the Four Kings and all those wars that you guys went through, can you kind of reflect back on those times and what comes to mind for you?
Well, the Four Kings, I don't know about all that, but I just think that just fighting Tommy Hearns and Leonard and Duran or whatever, I'm glad that happened at the time of my era, so that when I retired, you know, you have something to look back on and that with the fans remember. And as of today, if people ask about those fights, it's like the fights was like yesterday. It don't look like it was 30 years ago or whatever, you know. And that's what we're talking, 30 years ago. And look at me, I'm still sitting here in front of you guys and talking to you guys again, you know. And it's an honor of me being here, especially getting the Achievement Award, or whatever, for the HBO, what am I talking about? The Boxing Hall of Fame. You know, so that's a big achievement, and I'm so thrilled, really. You know, I really don't have that much to say about it because I'm speechless in a sense for that. But I'm so proud to receive an award here tonight.
Do you have any thoughts on that fight? They're supposed to be fighting for the WBC middleweight title in November.
That's with, who's the other one?
Canelo Alvarez, the Mexican, and Miguel Cotto, the Puerto Rican, currently holds the title. Do you have any thoughts on that
Well,
fight?
that's funny too. You know, still the guy's got my belt. So I like Cotto a little bit. You know, I respect his boxing too. So it's interesting to see who wins that. You know what I mean? Cotto moved up from welterweight up to junior middleweight and middleweight. I mean, you know, so you know, it's my title. I just hope that he represents my title the way how I represented it for these older fighters. That's what I was talking about earlier. Okay.
Marvin, as an actual fighter, do you feel that some of these fighters like made the mark as defensive fighters like Floyd Mayweather kind of hurt boxing and casual fans?
Well, you know, I'm listening to people from all around the world, you know, over in Europe and everything. People didn't like that kind of style. People with the money that was put out there for that kind of fight, I think people was expecting a head-on-head fight, you know what I mean, for that money that was there. You know, something, you got a short knockout or something. I mean, this guy come out, still both of them, no blood, no knockdown, no nothing. I mean, it seems like a ripoff right there, you know. So, you know, all in fairness, if you win, you win, which is boxing. But you know, if you can get out of the game, like when I fought Leonard, I said, so when I got through, they told me I lost, and I didn't even have a scratch on me. I said, this is the first time I came in a fight, and they ain't got nothing wrong with me, and they say I lost. I said, something wrong with this picture.
Well, what we always remember about Mayweather Tommy here, and how it has stood the test of time as one of the greatest fights in the history of the sport.
30 years ago, it seems so funny, man, that happened. Like people talk about it like it was yesterday, and every day somebody talks about
What
it.
still resonates with you about the night? I mean, knocking down, knocking out.
No, I think that type of fight that me and Tommy, we didn't like each other. And Tommy, I give him a lot of credit because he came to take away my title. He showed me his courage, showed me his heart, you know, showed me his skills, showed me his fighting, his punching power, you know what I mean? So I have nothing against Tommy, you know what I mean? He gave me a great fight, and I think that fight there was the highlight of my career, which a lot of people had this remember talking with the announcer, and I says, now I just want to ask you a question. Now, am I great or what? He says, you know, Marvin, I gotta say something. Now I can say you're a great fighter. I said, thank you. I've been waiting for you to say that for a long time.
I was going to ask you where you were when you fought Tommy that night. It's almost like, where were you when, for a boxing fan?
Everybody lets me
they're
know.
on the moon.
Everybody lets me know where they were. When they said, you know, I was in my house, or I was in my car listening to it, or you know, I was only 12 years old. You know, I said, Mark, look at you now, man. This guy's about 6'6", man. He's about 30 years old right now. Wow.
So you had this kind of impact on a generation of boxing fans.
Well, you know, everybody says to me the same thing. They say, you know what, I stopped watching boxing after you retired. I stopped watching boxing, and it's hard to believe. But now I can see the reason why, because nobody still knows who the heavyweight champion is. And when I ask them that, they say, oh, Mike Tyson. That's how far back that they are, you know what I mean?
The veto at Fermo, that had to be one of the very low point for you. I mean, not the fight itself, but the result.
No, I think that fight was a great lesson for me, and I thought that it would never happen. If it did happen to me, which it did happen, that I would get the fair shake in the same way that Fermo was, because he was champion. In order to beat the champion, you gotta knock him down, knock him out, or beat him decisively, you know. So if you don't do that, the champion is able to keep his belt. And that's the way it goes. And I'm still seeing some of it happens like that. And some of it, I've been seeing people get ripped off. You know, so, but it was a great lesson. Yeah, right here in season. So, and my last one with Leonard was right here too, right? Unbelievable.
you grow in stature as a fighter as the years go on. I mean, people who knew the sport respected you, but it seems like you're in a special class now.
I don't know. I think tonight is going to be very special, and it's going to show me the class that I'm in right now when I receive this award tonight. So I'm going to be very humble and gracious and say thank you.
Do you even know there was a Nevada Boxing Hall of Fame?
I didn't know, but you know what? I believe that this was overdue, long overdue. We needed that, and somebody that had the nerve to really put this together, because in Las Vegas, all the great fights have been coming here and everything. So I think that it's a right place to have the Boxing Hall of Fame.
Marvin, do you think Andre Berto was his choice for last Mayweather fight? The answer is no. Who you prefer for Mayweather fight?
With Berto?
Yeah.
I think it could be an interesting fight, you know, but right now everybody's talking about, because Floyd Mayweather needs another fight, one more fight, the 50th fight. But you got to realize too that this guy is not a heavyweight like a Marciano. If it was 50 fights in the heavyweight division, I believe that would be the story, that would make history. I don't think because Mayweather wins this 50th fight or whatever, it's going to be the same as if he was a heavyweight.
Chad, I was going to ask you, did you ever think back when you were fighting, 9 or 10 of your first pro fights back in the, I'm not sure if it's named after Rocky Marciano or not, but the gym in Brockton High School, and your second year pro, fighting about 12, 13 times, fighting 3 times in a run, going down all them wars with, Bad Benny Briscoe and Blue Watson guys, and the Blue, or not Blue Rising in the Spectrum. Did you ever, was that something driving your mind, and you wanted to get just this recognition to be here, in the
That's probably the next thing that I think that should happen for me, is probably having a statue out of my city of Brockton, because it's a city of champions.
That's
and
right.
We got two champions that came out of there. And following under Rocky Marciano's shadow in the beginning by coming out of Brockton wasn't easy for me.
Right.
Plus the fact that he was white. The second is that he was a heavyweight. I was black, and plus I'm a middleweight. And not trying to have the style of a Marciano. You know what I mean? Because Marciano was a banger, and he wasn't that tall, but he had a big heart and he worked hard. You know what I mean? So I did pick up a little bit of that sense in the beginning of my career that helped me to win those fights, like the Philadelphia fights and things like that. So
Yeah.
great.
5 more minutes, guys.
Okay.
In 1980, you beat Elementor to get the WBC, WBA titles. Have you been back to the UK, and looking back on that experience, seeing how everyone, there was a big riot after the fight.
Right.
Looking back on that, what were your thoughts? What are your
Well, my
thoughts?
thought is because, now I go back and forth, and I'm doing a lot of sports dinner shows and things like that in England, and I do speak about that once in a while, that the way I look at it is that there was only a handful of people that basically made the whole country look bad, and they've been very apologetic to me ever since, from them throwing bottles and everything. And it's so funny is that they said, no, we wasn't throwing at you, we was throwing at Elementor. I didn't see no bottles. I just see no bottles. And then it was, here I was the only champion. You wait for that day when you win the fight that you can raise your hand up and you receive the belt, wow. And so that was taken away from me. Also behind the fact that I never had a chance to put the belt around my waist at that time, like every other champion. Every time I see another champion that had the opportunity to put that belt around him, raise his hand up, it's a great feeling, and I was denied that. So.
The 25th year anniversary is in September, so it's been.
What was that?
Since that experience, 25 years in September.
No, it's more than that. Yeah, it's like 35 almost.
35?
Yeah, 1980. Right?
Oh, that's right. Hello, my math. 35.
Yeah, but I
It's like 35th
seen
anniversary.
Elementor too, and we speak sometimes too. So and he's been very apologetic to me about how his fans acted. But you remember, I think after that fight there, the American fighters at that time wouldn't go to England to fight because they see what happens to me on television. So it was a bad feeling.
Marvin, like Marciano, you had a high knockout percentage. Your 12 defenses at 78%. They say punchers are born, they're not made. What's your belief on that?
I believe that I have a gift. I don't think that you can punch. to knock somebody out. You know, I think that it has to come. I mean, you can work hard. I mean, punch in the bag or whatever like that. But some people I see too, even in the smaller weights. You watch these guys in the small weights, the featherweights or whatever. They throw thousands of punches, but they can't knock the guy out. It's so funny. It's like that. I think you have to be able to have it in you. I don't think that you can develop it.
And how the country you faced?
My mother. I mean, she did.
Marvin, you talked about discipline earlier about the fighters now. Do you feel that if amateur boxers were to strive to go to the Olympics to get gold, that it would help them with their discipline instead of going straight to pro?
Well, I'm always looking at the Olympics and the fact that maybe we might find another Muhammad Ali or Ray Leonard or, you know, myself even that missed it only by 6 months. But that's what we need is to teach the young kids right from the beginning, you know, before they get into the professionals, so that they can be prepared mentally and physically.
Marvin, yesterday when you arrived, Richmond's like took you to see a whole section in the brand new museum.
Right.
To develop all your memory area, so you could be circle. You and your team got a big kick-ass and everything. What are your thoughts and emotions that you're
My emotions is I'm impressed and I'm excited, you know. I mean, and I'm glad to be able to bring my belt here and to display it so that people can see a real champion. You know what I mean? And I guess that's what they want to see. Oh, that's Hagler's belt right there. Wow, you know. So just seeing the thrills of that makes me feel very proud.
Last question. What can you say about the Filipino box, the emergence of the Filipino boxers, particularly Manny Pacquiao?
No, I think the Filipinos, I think he did a great job for the Filipino fighters. And he might have more fighters coming up from the Philippines now because of Pacquiao. Okay, guys?
Excellent.